Next is the keynote address. Professor Dr. G.G. Gangadharan is a well-known exponent of Ayurveda and an expert on authentic Ayurveda methods of diagnosis, especially the pulse diagnosis, and successfully treats lifestyle disorders. He has dedicated himself for the propagation of Ayurveda knowledge and promoting local health tradition. Started his career with Aryavaidya Pharmacy Coimbatore. He pioneered development of new dosage forms and traditional Ayurveda formulations, both classical as well as proprietary. He was the editor of a well-known journal of Ayurveda in India, Ancient Science of Life. He has coordinated an all India program on local health traditions and Ayurveda. He is a fellow of Ashoka Innovators for the Public, Ashoka Trust USA. His tireless service has earned him goodwill of many globally. Dr. Gangadharan is the director of Ramaya Indic Specialty Ayurveda Restoration Hospital, Bangalore. We welcome you, sir.
Namaskar to all of you. I'm extremely happy to be with you on this very important program of Ayurveda, initiated by none other than Vaidyaratnam Group of Institutions and their academic wing representing the Ayurveda College and my friend Dr. Gauri Shankar and others. I'm honored to be here with you. And one of the important thing I noted is that selection of the debate subject, gastrointestinal tract disorders. It is extremely important, and probably the first chapter of Ashtanga Hridaya talks about it immediately after talk about Vata, Pitta and Kapha. And this is the organ which gets dominated by all the three doshas in a specific way. So it says that the upper part, the middle part, and the lower part, the three parts are dominated by Kapha, Pitta, and Vata in order. That itself shows how much importance is given to this, the largest organ of the body, which starts from the lips and to the rectum and to the anus. So everything that happens in the body is controlled by this great tract. Gastrointestinal tract has given more importance these days because the new outlook of modern science, especially in the area of gut microbiome. Gut microbiome is earning more and more importance in the frontiers of research because this happened to be the epicenter for all the changes in the body. There was a time when all of us were thinking that genetics is the base of all human activities, including the thought process that we carry with us. That has very dramatically and revolutionarily changed when the epigenetics came into front forum of modern research. And it makes me happy to go deep into this great science. When thousands of years back, we have understood this importance and we have told very clearly that Bali Purushakarohi Daivam Apyadivartade. If you take the literal meaning of this stanza, which gives us an idea that the Daivam, the destiny can be changed by the efforts of human being. So human efforts supersedes the destiny. So this gives a kind of control to human being to direct and control and take our destiny to a certain direction. This is the literary meaning of these words, but it has got a medical implication. When we are thinking that the genetics was in its very premature state, we thought that everything is controlled by DNA. But now we know that DNA's action is controlled by the environment in which the DNA is placed. This environment is what we call as the gut microbiome controlled body's internal milieu or milieu interior, as told by Claude Bernard in 19th century. So this is the basis. I would like everyone to get into these conditions of gastrointestinal diseases where the Costa-Agni plays an important role. So many of our previous speakers have dwelt into that importance, but I want all of us to be aware that this largest organ, which connects not only the physiological factors, but also the psychological factors, is controlled by Agni, and Agni decides what kind of microbiome should exist in the body. So we all know that we are actually represented by 3 times larger the number of the body cells by microbiome, and it changes. And many of you will agree that we have given utmost importance to Basti Chikitsa to the extent that Acharya says that Chikitsartham iti kathyate. Basti is considered as half of the old Chikitsa told in Ayurveda. If you put everything, all the Panchakarmas, other Chaturkarmas, and all the Samana Chikitsa, and all the Daiva Vyabhasra, Sattva Vyabhasra, all those Chikitsa in one side, and put the Vasti, both will be unequal. So this is the importance given to Vasti, and Vasti is one of the most versatile disease management mechanism Ayurveda has. I don't think any other treatment has given this much importance in Ayurveda other than Vasti. So it shows how intelligent our ancient stalwarts were to understand the subtlety of disease origin, apart from the Aganduja disease, that is external causes, disease of external cause, how the internal disease, which is the most important disease pattern of the 21st century and beyond. So we said the metabolic disorders, the multi-causal diseases, the organ-based structural disorders, which does not have any organism as a reason from outside, has got immense importance in Costa. So Costum plays a great importance role in Ayurveda. And many of us should admit the understanding of Costa has gone beyond our imagination by modern biomedical science, the reductionistic approach of getting into the cellular level. So when it goes beyond the cellular level, the microbiological level, we understand more and more the depth of Ayurvedic wisdom. So it makes me very happy when I explore to the modern science of biological system. And if you try to compare with the Ayurveda biology, we feel like dancing to the tune of this great science. Because every day when we invent more and more things from a paradigm of modern science, and when we study our science with great depth and great understanding, there are a lot of meeting points. And GIT is one area where we can explore beyond any doubt to these meeting points. I believe one of the way for Ayurveda to be contemporaneized is to make these meeting bridges happen as early as possible by dwelling deep into the science of Ayurveda with this holistic approach and the great philosophy that carries with it with the modern science. Like during the inauguration told by Dr. Manoj, there is a need to base our thinking process based on Ayurvedic wisdom and connect this wisdom with modern diagnostic tools, which will make you the very winner of the game of treating people who are suffering and making people healthy in years to come. This is becoming more important in an era when there is an expectation from sciences like Ayurveda to lead the method of science in healing approaches. So I think this is the background in which we should think that Ayurveda can lead, provided we take the Ayurveda as a whole that as told in our traditional treatise. So there are many conditions which we can divide into Ayurveda basis, and there is no need to pronounce this name, but you are aware how this becomes more and more important today's context, because many of these conditions are become very common. When the body's immune mechanism becomes weak, when body's ability to control the internal milieu become distorted, all this condition happens. So it is here that we give the more important factor of aharam in the disease origin. So ahara, swapna, abramajadya, and in this aharam plays an important role. Most of these conditions we see named here. Everything you take in this ahara is the starting point. When we say aharam, actually aharam is the basis of each cell's existence. That is why we say that yavando bahava murtimadam dehe tavando loge yavando loge tav. All this concept has to be connected. If you are able to connect this concept at a GIT level, each condition can be corrected merely by correcting your lifestyle, lifestyle along with which is based on the right kind of food, right kind of sleep, right kind of lifestyle corrections. I think this is the important area. If you look into the amasya, pakvasya, guda, grihani, agrat, pliha, udara, GIT, all the organs, each organ, if you look into it, the different diseases are originated, and depending upon its origin of that place, we can divide. It is here that we get the importance of etiopathogenesis. See, when we say that etiopathogenesis becomes an important factor to understand a disease origin, and we give the most important aspect given to disease origin is Agni. As told by the Kaya means Agni. When the Kaya Agni goes down, we become the vessel which are appropriate for different kind of disease to originate. So Ragaha Sarvebi Mandegno, Sudaram Udaranitu, Ajirnan Malinan Malinaihi Cha Annaihi Jayande Malasanchaya. Here also we can give, actually Vakpada very rarely use words without a purpose. He never use. We say that Matra Labhal Putra Labho, that is where we write our treatises in ancient time. We don't use a single word without whether if it is not of very important in that area. Here also, when it talks about Mandagni, Acharya talks about Annam here also. So this gives the importance. What happens when the Mandagni, which leads to aberrant metabolism, which gives rise to the pro-inflammatory process in the body, which becomes the waste product, which stays in the body because of the channels, macro and micro channels gets blocked and get into disease. So if you get into any disease, which I previously showed, all this starts from this condition of Mandagni, which starts from the wrong kind of food. Even the Mandaginitam, the etiopathology, goes to the kind of food one is indulging in a continuously for a longer period. Because we say that if you have a wrong kind of food once in a while, body has got tremendous capacity to correct it. But if you keep on indulging in, body fails to give that preventive and protective measure. That is when we get into the conditions. So we say that there are many methods of treating these conditions. So there are two factors Ayurveda take into consideration to treat any condition. One is the roga, the disease entity, which is a murti rupam of the disease in the body. But we give actually equal importance to the Vyakti or where the roga is happening. In that area, we have to give, that is what Ayurveda becomes different from modern method of etiopathogen, we say that Dushyam, Desham, Balam, Kalam, Analam, Pragadim, Vaya, Sattam, Satmya. All these factors has to be looked into before we look into the disease entity as a unit. So we have to see the Agribala of that person at that given point of time. And we say whether it is Ama stage or Nirama stage, which we are looking, that's one of the main important factor we look into it. And we see whether the Alpadoshattam, Mahadoshattam, there are Lakshanas told for each this condition. And we have to see the Rogi Balam. And based on the Rogi Balam, we should decide whether one should go for Sadhana or Samana. Once we know about it, then we will go think about the Nidana Parivartana, what was causing this condition, especially diseases of Agni-based, when the diseases are liver-based, when the diseases are stomach-based, Agni-bala and the Sama, Nirama conditions becomes very important. Then we get into the concept of selection of medicine, and here we go first with Dibana and Pajana. I don't get into the details because all of you are aware about how the Agni has to be slowly kindled to get it back into its normal function. And we also get into the Anulomana in Virajana in case of Thamba, especially conditions where there is Urdhaga, Chardi or Adhoga Adhisara, we get into the Prayogam of Grahi Dravyas, Shula Shamanam, Dagha Shamanam, and Raktapitta Shamanam, etc. Specific approach for each conditions. And I will come to the specific disease treatments. Before getting to it, there are a multitude of padarthas, dravyas, combinations given in Ayurveda. This is the beauty of Ayurveda. Acharya has taken into consideration the limitations of our thinking process and our experience. So he has given a combination which can cover a broader area of imbalance in the body, and it can take into consideration of many of the variation points, like in the person I have explained. So this kind of thing, only condition that we require to know here is that where to use Ashtajurnam, where to use Vaishwanda Churnam, where to use Ingojadi Churnam. This pancha, all these things, if you look, analyze it, the Agni Karatvam of these dravyas are milder, mildest. This Taradama Bhedam of these dravyas, if you understand, from Bala to Vritha to Yuva to Rogavastha, we can select. So all these things are Devanavadana dravyas, but the percentage and its potential changes. When you get to Chitragadi Vadi and Agnitundi Vadi, you just compare with Ashtajurnam. The degree is a great gap in its ignition levels are there. So this is the kind of understanding Taradama Bhedam and Amshamsa Kalpana of doshas in the body help us to select any of these combinations to treat that conditions. When we say Jagatteva Manoshadam na Vidyalvasal, but from that concept of taking infinity number of medicines in the universe to help us to come into a group of very few medicines to treat a condition in a practical situation is the beauty of great science of Ayurveda. And this, you see, these Dhyapana Pajana yogas are a wonderful combinations of Agni increasing yogas at different levels of its percentage. As standalone, above work well for functional disease like Atmana, Atoba, Ajirna, Arochaga in the absence of organic causes of the disease. If you understand if the condition, any of these combination can be selected according to the context. And there are method of symptomatic management. When there is a person with having severe pain due to the gastric influence of the body's condition, we have to select that condition and treat. So we go for Shula Prasamanam, we go for Daga Prasamanam. And there are multitude of combinations which are in practice, in vogue, available for the practitioners to choose from according to the conditions of symptoms. And why the symptomatic management is important is that many times conditions of bleeding, we have to see what we can do immediately in that situation And there are combinations of many of them, including Vasa Gridam, Vasa Avalekam, Vasa Swarasam. These are all different conditions of Vasa constrictors, which helps us to do the Stambhana karma of the situation asked for. So accordingly, we can select symptomatic management, Rakta Pitta. And if it is Adhogam, there is some combination. If it is Urdam, there is a combination. That kind of selection is the wisdom that asked for the physician. And if you look into Charthi management, you can see how the thinking process of Ayurveda help in it. And here the Amasul Klesham is the condition happens, and Langhanam is the main treatment. We use it along with Dhibana and Pajana so that the Agni gets back into action. The irritation of the stomach line slowly comes down and patient gets into normal. And spasm, which is the neural based, also get into Stambhana is the one thing which will soothe down the neuromuscular spasms. And that's why Acharya especially say that Maradajam Vimachasam Shodhanam. You look at Maradam and make sure that Marada does not get aggravated, and Kabapitta Hari Chikitsa has to be done. So each treatment, each combination has a principle behind that. And when it happens, Pittaja Chardi, what is to be done? In Kabaja Chardi, what is to be done? In Kabaja Chardi, when it's incomplete, we have to say complete it so that all the doshas get out of the body and it will come to a natural cessation of the Vegas, and medicines like Laja, etc. helps in the conditions. I think this, if you analyze the yogas told for Chardi, you can see that everything is a soothing. Everything is it's a neuromuscular spasm arresting medicines from modern pharmacological point of view. Whereas we look at it as Samshamana Chikitsa, where the Kava is taken into consideration, Vada is not allowed to aggravate further, and there's a kind of bonding is made, and the layer becomes smoother. And many of these combinations, Jambu, Amra, Dhadima, Madhulanga, Amathivalasana, etc., are very good examples of how Ayurveda looks into the spasmic conditions of the Chardi. And we say that Pranada Yoga Vibadhe Sampravartini. When there is an incomplete evacuation of dosha, we actually accelerate it. When there is a more dehydration, we made Stambhanam, we give Grahito Dravyas, and we make sure that no more dehydration happens. This kind of combinations are told in Ayurveda to select from various combinations. And if you travel from South Kerala to North Kashmir, we see that different dravyas are being put into use according to the availability of dravyas of that. That is why we say that Yasya Deshastu Yojantu Tasya Sadhyavasradamidam. These are the principle, are the use. And we don't look at a dravya, we look at its guna and its karma. That's why we make use of different yogas to make sure that the desired guna and karma are absorbed in that yogam so that it can work universally. And Aisara, there are many of the important dietary interventions told for Aisara Yoga. We have Takra, Kanchiga, Yavagu, Vilebi, and Kadha, Yusha. And Kadha is actually Kalam, it's a kind of buttermilk preparations, and Rasaudana, Suba, etc., which are got three functions. One is Dibanam, one is Pajanam, and Sangrahi. Anything which we use for this condition is to be antispasmodic. It should be helping the body to control its spasmodic action, and it should bring down the peristaltic movement of the larger intestines and smaller intestines, and should make the Stambhanam. And if you look into each and every combination, you can see one or two will be doing it, one or two will be helping that. That's why we say it is not that the yoga alone is, the dravya alone is important. The combination of dravya by which the desired explanations are given to desired effect is the more important thing. There are many Adhisara yogas which I'm not explaining, but all of you know these are the things we select according to the gravity of the situation and condition of the person. And it is here we have to look at the Dushyam, Desham, Balam, Kalam, Manalam, Prakritim, Vaya, Sattam, Satmyam, Sadaharam. And Acharya says, for what? Dosha Aushadha Nirupane, to understand which of the dosha is being predominant at this point of time in the disease origin, and how to select Aushadha appropriate for that. For that only we look into these 10 factors, not for the disease name. It doesn't say Roga Aushadha Nirupane, it says Dosha Aushadha Nirupane. Please understand, dosha can work in the body according to the body's capacity. Kapha Prakriti person's Kapha Roga is different from a Pitta Prakriti person's Kapha Roga. So this changes according to the platform in which the disease comes also has to be very carefully observed. And Grahani, which we have given many names in, it's proved to IBS, to Cox conditions, to ulcerative colitis, to all these conditions comes under a broad classification of Grahani of different stages. And here also we have to see the presence of dosha and its action in rasa and other dhadus and the chronicity of the condition, starting from Sugoshnam to Khadam to Gridam, all these stages, different dravyas are being used for this condition in Grahana. Ama Grahani and dosha in Grahani, and Jivana, Pachana, Kashayas has to be used. And also there is lot of medicine which do the Robanam in certain condition when it has become more chronic, when it is a condition of ulceritis, colitis kind of condition where we give kind of different vastis to be given, where that is healing can take place. So this is the line of management in Grahani, and we use in conditions of certain chronic, even Vamana is also advised, and we treat the Agni to make it come back to it. And you can see one of the problem with Grahani is that Agni is in a very low level, and we have to kindle from the basis level to bring it back to action. And yogams like Takrarishtam, Sidhu, and different kind of very low irritating things are used. And at the end of the treatment, we use many of the Grisa Prayogas. So starting from Churna to Khala to Kashaya to Aristas to Grida is the method of treatment of Grahani. And you can see in Grahani, the principle is Jivana Pajanam, and many of the Adhisara yogas can be used because Grahani has got that spastic and spasmodic conditions. And Takar Prayoga is most popularly used in Kerala is in Grahani. There is many kinds of kalam that is used, Mukudi we call it in Kerala. And many other things like oxalics, to many of these herbs are being used. And this is one of the area where we completely replace the imbalanced gut microbiome with a new set of gut microbiome. And there's a combinations of dahi and takra in a combination of many herbs are very important in Grahani Yoga. And this is an area of research because Grahani is many times not understood the right context. People take it for mere sprue where only Agni is imbalanced, where there is no involvement of any mucous membrane. But at some stages, the mucous membrane, even to the nerve layers behind that also get affected. And there is a weight loss, and it becomes also can become cancerous on a longer period of irritation of that area. And if you know Grahani Chikitsa properly, we know the gut Chikitsa properly. That's what we say. Kamala is a very great, very broad area. There are Kamala, Kumbha Kamala, Halimagam, different kind of disease, cirrhosis, NASH and non-alcoholic. All those things are there. But when we say GIT, we don't take as a liver because liver itself is a great area of importance for treating. But whenever there is any problem with liver, we have to think about fatty infiltration in the liver. So that is why all the treatment for liver diseases starts with Virajana. Virajana is very important, and relieving the blocks in the body, in the liver cells, removing the fat and preventing the fibrotic changes in the liver is the ultimate aim. Here also the Padana Devana and Tikshna Chilsa are being done. And unless there is an organism behind it, if it is a completely functional, then all the correction for structural conditions are being done this. So Gomutra Haridagi and Gomutra with many of the combination with the Gomutra is because Gomutra has got such a penetrating capacity, such a Tikshna Sabhava, it can carry many of the medicines to the ultimate targets of the liver cells and it can correct it. And Gomutra is actually the last word for the cirrhotic condition where there is few cells are behind in that rejuvenate. Gomutra becomes one of the very good vehicle to carry many of the Tikshna Trivyas to the body. So Shleshmana Ruddhamargam Tal Pittam Kabahare Jail. Here the Pitta is the sthanam, but Kabaharam Dravyas has to be used. That is the difficulty of treating this condition. If you use the correct kind of combinations, this condition can be treated. So you see the Kamala Yogas, all these things are to do this kind of Kaba Avaruddha Margas being clear, and we give it kind of Agni Devanam in that area so that all the cells start rejuvenating itself. That's what we have to do. And this is the one area where a lot of research is needed because we do not know exactly how these medicines are working at micro level. This molecular action of the medicines are yet to be studied. But we have got immense evidence to show that there is a condition called regeneration of liver cells after taking Ayurvedic medicine for 3 to 6 months, which includes not only Shamana Dravyas, but also Shodhana Dravyas, including Virajana and Vastis. And in this Bhunimba, that's Bhumi Amalagi, Kadugi Yoga, Shilajus are one of the most important factors in the treatment. The last area of GIT is actually Arshas. Arshas is one of the remote areas of Agni's action. I believe that Arshas starts from Agnivantyam. So if you start treating Agni in condition of Arshas, make sure that the Stambhana stops and the motion passes soft and slowly the Kabakara Arshas will come down very quickly if you are able to treat. And there are a lot of Abhyanga and Bhagya Marga Chilsa is there, which gives immediate relief from the pain, swelling, and inflammations. And internal medicines many are there, which helps in removing the bulging of the veins in that area. So identify Sukshma and Shushka Arshas and Ardha Arshas is one of the thing. And if you have the Shushka Arshas and Ardha Arshas, we have got different treatment. And if you take this Shushka Arshas, the Abhyanga, Swedana, Vagaha kind of treatment, which are all commonly done. And we need this kind of arrangement in our clinics. Because these are the area we cannot just prescribe a medicine and leave them. We should keep the patient with us and make sure that they go after leave the pain. That is how the medicine works. So, Stabdhani Swedel, Purvam Swabha Shula Anudanicha. So, when there is patient come with immense pain, if you are able to leave by our Swedana, Navagaha, Dhara, Pinda kind of thing, which happens very, very instantly, and we can treat that. Then you treat for the Rakta, treat for the Agni, everything as a secondary stage. So, Rakte Dushte Bishaks Tasma, Raktameva Sajel, Jalogobis Tada Shastrai, Suji Birpa, Punapun, if needed. If the Rakta Adhika is there, we have to do this treatment, otherwise, Agni treatment is done. And these are the principles of Arshas treatment. Sintashidam Hidam Vade, Rukshashidam Kabanuge. I don't take your time to go to the details of the treatment, which is not to be done through a meeting like this. But I want to open the doors for you to show that there is an immense scope and potential and resources available within Ayurveda, but we have to think the Ayurvedic way. My teacher, Dr. Musa Sir, who is Nomar, he always used to tell us that Vaidyo Doshayagadrik. You should look only dosha in everything. Whatever you see, you try to put in the framework of doshas, then you will be able to understand not only the disease, not only the person, the materials you see, the things you see from the spectacle of dosha. Then you will be able to, and you don't have to go beyond dosha for treating. It will become the simplistic way of treating conditions if you are able to distinguish the vata, pitta, kapha predominance in a disease. And if you are able to control that condition. And we say in many occasions and many conferences that Kshirana Vardhaidavya, Vruddha Chabaidavya, Samapaledavya. This is not a principle to be talked. These are the principles to be put into practice by using different things and see the dosha which is predominant in the given region. Sayeva dosha. So Vigara nama akusalo najikriyal kadajana nahi sarva vigarana nama dorti. It's a very important cornerstones of Ayurveda. If you don't have these cornerstones, then you cannot build Ayurvedic wisdom on this. So these are the examples which I want to. I know that I have not gone detail, but as a keynote speaker, I have not expect to give details, but I want to open the doors for all of you. How we can go beyond the reductionistic approach, using Ayurvedic holistic approach to treat condition, of course, using the reductionistic approach, diagnostic and prognostic tools. That is of a great value for us to see where we have reached, what are the gaps in our treatment, and fill that gaps using our own wisdom. And this objective and subjective assessment of a condition using Ayurvedic wisdom with an integrative approach is the future of Ayurveda, as I believe and as I practice. And we say that Ayurvarno balam swastham ulsaha upajayo prabha ojas tejo agneya pranaha ukta deha agni hetugaha sande agno umriyade yukte chiram jivatya namaya rogi syad vikride moolam agnis tasmal nirichide. See the importance Charaka gives to Agni. So Agni is the base. And if you put this Agni in terms of the vitality of the body, the connecting link between each element of the doshas. So we will understand that even the temperature control in the body, in the nerve conductivity of the system, and the muscles spasm, and all these elements are controlled by Agni. Agni is not the Koष्ಠagni. The 13 Agnis are the less researched concept of Ayurveda. 13 Agni are very important because the Dhatu Agni is the Agni which actually convert the metabolic things to assimilable elements of the body, becomes one with the body's elements. So the Panchamahabodham of the external universe, the Panchamahabodham of the internal universe, the connecting link is actually the Agnis. So this Agni, if you understand, and someone has said I have read many times that if you know Agni, you know Ayurveda. If you don't know Agni, you don't know Ayurveda. So Agni plays an important role, even understanding the activities of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Just few words of my experience. I'm extremely happy and honored to be with you all, sharing my experience, not in terms of practically demonstrating, but based on my practical experience, how Ayurvedic wisdom can play a great role in understanding and treating the gastrointestinal disorders, which are the need of the time and the future of our health is going to be depending upon how we utilize this wisdom of Ayurveda for the proper use. All world is looking towards sciences like Ayurveda. I don't say Ayurveda alone, but they are all looking for a different approach. And they have found and again that the reductionistic approach has got a limitation. That limitation they have already seen. And in the context of COVID-19 and beyond, people are looking at Ayurveda, how we can inculcate and increase the innate immunity. That is the basis of Ayurvedic wisdom. The innate immunity which starts from the Bala Gudiga or the Uramaranda or the day one of putting that ghee and honey to the tongue of the newborn to the last rite of the dying person is the Ayurveda principle. So if you are able to link these different beats of Ayurvedic principle to a great garland, which take the lifestyle approach of Ayurveda, Ayurveda can lead the research and health management of the future, not only India, but globally. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Next, to announce the result of first round, I kindly invite